Hey, everybody, this is Matt Mayoka at NBC Sports Bay Area checking in with the update from the 49ers loss. And whoa, it was a brutal loss for the team, 20-17 against the Seattle Seahawks. But first, this is brought to you by Canyon Club Brewery in Moraga, California. It's a great brewery with tasty bites in their restaurant. So, a great place to bring the whole family. Got the beer garden, got the fire pits outside. It's a great location. Bring the family dog. What the heck? Have a great evening at Canyon Club Brewery, and it's coming soon to the Livery in Danville. So check that out. And also, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And here's the thing, folks. I'm going to tell you what I believe, and I'm going to tell it like it is as it pertains to the San Francisco 49ers. And I would say through most of this season, I've kind of been under the opinion that they will get better as the season goes on, that they do have the talent and the coaching to be a playoff team. And then once you get to the postseason, who knows what happens from there. But I will honestly tell you right now, I don't think the 49ers are a very good team. They are about as average as you can get. They are 5-5. And this loss to the Seattle Seahawks, I think, was their worst loss of the season. I think that because of the very narrow margin for error that they left themselves after blowing a double-digit second-half lead to the Rams, after blowing a double-digit second-half lead to the Cardinals, what the 49ers had to do from that point forward was basically run the table in the NFC West. So when you look ahead to what this team has on the horizon, a game at Green Bay, a game at Buffalo, back-to-back weeks, they had to win their remaining NFC West games, and they did not accomplish that. And they did not accomplish it in a very ugly way on Sunday. I thought, when I'm sitting down to do my report card at NBC Sports Bay Area.com, I gave coaching an F. The offense just looked absolutely disjointed. And yes, George Kittle was not out there. He should be back for the game against Green Bay. That hamstring injury was considered about a week or 10-day injury, I found out in retrospect, but he should be back this week. But the offense it wasn't good. And as poorly as the 49ers played, as far as not being able to string together first downs, as far as not being able to get into the end zone consistently, only 2 touchdowns in this game, they still had a chance to win the game by taking over after the 49ers defense made a 4th down stop in the 4th quarter. They took over with a little less than 4 minutes left in the game. And it was an ugly drive. Or it wasn't even a drive. It was an ugly possession. And, it started off because there was no Kittle. Their tight ends in this game were Eric Saubert, Jake Tongas, and Braden Willis. So they went with a lot of Jalen Moore, the swing tackle, as basically a tight end. But as we all know, there's basically 6 offensive linemen. And so at a time when the 49ers probably should have tried to spread it out a little bit or just not be so obvious as far as they were going to be running the ball, that's what they did. Christian McCaffrey gets stopped for a 1-yard loss. And then Purdy looked for Deebo Samuel on kind of an in-breaking route, threw it high. And then Juwan Jennings, who was the star of the game for the 49ers, it did catch a pass on 3rd down, and unlike other times in the game when it was 3rd and Juwan and he made the catch and he kept the chains moving or scored a touchdown, this time on 3rd and 11, he could only pick up 5 yards. So basically what happened was the 49ers defense had played very well for most of the game, but without Nick Bosa on the field in the 4th quarter, Seattle started to string together some drives, and Geno Smith, they gave him one more opportunity, and he took advantage of it. His first win against the 49ers as a quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. Brock Purdy's first loss against the Seattle Seahawks, and he scores a touchdown with 12 seconds left on a 13-yard run. Going back to Bosa, this one is concerning because the 49ers have had their injury issues this season, but I'm not going to blame their problems on injuries. I think that they still have had enough talent to win a lot of football games, and including this game Sunday with George Kittle out. The 49ers had enough talent to win this game, but they didn't come up with the plan. They didn't come up with the execution or anything else. But Bosa had a hip injury and an oblique strain. And so he first incurred that injury in the Wednesday practice on November 6th. And then he sucked it up and played in that game against Tampa Bay, got a sack, but was clearly hobbled. Well, in playing in this game on Sunday, he was compensating for the one hip and ended up doing the exact same thing to the other hip. So now he has a hip injury, oblique strains on both sides. And when asked flat out about his level of concern about being able to play against the Green Bay Packers, he admitted that he is very concerned. So I think there's a good chance here, a week before the 49ers kickoff in Lambeau Field, that Nick Bosa will not be available to play in that game. Bosa had 1.5 sacks on Sunday. Leonard Floyd had 1.5 sacks. Yetur Gross-Matos gave the defensive line a nice boost. He got 1 sack as well. So 49ers have some major, major issues. 5-5 record. They're the Arizona Cardinals, with the much easier schedule the rest of the way, 6-4. All the other 3 teams in the NFC West are 5-5, but the difference is the 49ers are 1-3 in the division. So time is running out. Their schedule doesn't get any easier. In fact, it gets harder. You have the game against Green Bay, followed up against the game against Buffalo. Buffalo goes into their bye week after beating the Kansas City Chiefs 30-21, handing the Chiefs their first loss of the season. The 49ers, frankly, have not looked like a playoff team all season. That offense should be so much better. And I don't care, if McCaffrey's missed a good portion of the season, if Brandon Ayuk is out, if, George Kittle's status, whatever the case may be, there are plenty of other teams that are dealing with issues. And the 49ers' best game, the only time the whole season where I thought, well, they look darn near unstoppable, was the first game of the year more than 2 months ago, when they strung together 8 consecutive possessions in which they scored points. Now, a lot of those were field goals, but they scored on 8 consecutive possessions. They have never looked that sharp, that crisp the rest of the season. And Kyle Shanahan is not dialing up the plays. He's not making use of what they have, getting into the specific play calling. I'm not going to do that because, I've long thought that, the difference between a good play call and a bad play call is just if it worked. And the 49ers offensive play calling hasn't been working. So what is going on? Brock Purdy, I think he's struggling. Whatever you want to call it. I know it's not his sophomore year, but it kind of is in a sense. He started the 2022 season, started the final 5 games of that year, had all of last year, and freaking tore it up, a 113 passer rating. But his numbers have fallen off dramatically, and he just seems a bit slow, just a tick slow in making decisions. The pass protection on Sunday against Seattle wasn't great. The receivers didn't do the job. I mean, other than Juwan Jennings, 10 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. McCaffrey had only 4 catches for 27 yards. Deebo Samuel, 4 catches for 22 yards. Ricky Pearsall held without a catch. It just seems, it's not clicking. And I think a lot of that is seen by, Brock Purdy, some holding the ball too long, often running. I mean, he was the second leading rusher in this game. McCaffrey led the 49ers with 79 yards on 19 carries. But Brock Purdy has 4 touchdown runs this season that leads the team. And when he's not getting rid of the ball on time, he's either running, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's not great. But when he's also taken another hitch and thrown the ball into traffic, that's when turnovers happen. That's when, he tries to throw that pass to Christian McCaffrey and Devin Witherspoon gets his hand on it and Jonathan Hankins gets the interception. So there's a lot of blame to go around on this one. And Purdy did say that after the game, when Kyle Shanahan was talking to the team, he talked about the opportunities that were missed. He said that he took accountability for himself. And I think that's where it starts. I mean, hey, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach. And I think that he's, one of the top coaches in the NFL. And in my mind, there's no question. But I think this year, the 49ers are underachieving. And for all the accolades that Kyle Shanahan gets for winning a lot of football games over the past 3 seasons and taking the 49ers to the Final Four of the NFL, 3 straight years, twice losing in the NFC Championship game, once losing in the Super Bowl. A lot of teams. I mean, only probably the Kansas City Chiefs has had that much success over the past years. Whereas still are lacking that Super Bowl. But I'm just saying that I think Kyle Shanahan's a really good coach, but I don't think he's having a good stretch. And I don't think he's having a good season, either designing the offense, making the adjustments, the play calling. It seems like he's never quite gotten into that rhythm. So, if you're looking to blame, individuals for where the 49ers are right now, yeah, if you give Kyle Shanahan a lot of the credit for dialing things up when times are going good, then he also deserves the blame when things are not going good. And let's face it, things are not going good for the San Francisco 49ers, 20-17 losers to the Seattle Seahawks. And I've always kind of felt like, okay, they're getting ready to turn the corner. At some point, they're going to turn the corner. Well, I think I'm done saying that because, Fred Warner talked about it after the game. He called it infuriating. And he also talked about he still believes all the answers are inside the building, meaning that, the guys who are on the team, a very talented roster, that they'll find the right answers to turn it around, but they haven't shown it yet. And I'm a show me kind of guy. I want to see the team do it before I say they do it. And if they turn it around and they reel off some wins in a row and they go and they beat the Packers and they beat the Bills and they beat, week 17, the Lions, and they head into the postseason with momentum, I'll be the first to recognize it. But right now, this is not a playoff looking team at all. And that is the bottom line. Maybe they'll get some guys back. Maybe Dre Greenlaw will be back in the near future. Kittle should be back next week. But it just kind of seems like when there are guys coming back, there are also guys leaving. And we'll see with Bosa what his status is in the coming weeks. But right now, the 49ers do not look like a playoff team. And until they do look like a playoff team, they won't be able to turn the season around and get back in the postseason. So that's the story from here. Again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure I'll be reading a lot of comments, probably a lot of people agreeing with my take on the 49ers that Purdy seems to tick off. Whatever Kyle Shanahan's doing isn't working. And the 49ers right now are in full-on desperation mode with 7 games left in the season. So thank you very much for watching. And that's it for now.